This is a tutorial about how to find, to see, and to correct out of gamut colors. This is Candace's image, and I commented on it in the group that the colors were out of gamut and would make it difficult to reproduce exactly in printed form. But if you're only going to be viewing an image on a digital screen, then it's not that critical. But when we want to print, we need to have those colors printable. And so this is a way for you to adjust the colors so that you know exactly what your print is going to look like when you get it printed. So the first thing that you need to do is, this image is in Photoshop. So take your image into Photoshop, and then you're going to go up to the top menu, and I'm sorry it does not show on here, but you're going to go over to View. Click on View, and the drop-down menu gives you a lot of options, and you want to come down to this third one called Gamut Warning and click on that. When the gamut warning is clicked, everything that is out of gamut turns gray, light gray. So those are the areas that we want to correct. So the first thing we want to do is we can add a layer, and I like to come down to the little half circle, well, it's half black, half white circle, and create a new layer. So we're going to do that, and we're going to choose hue and saturation because it's the color that is out of gamut. So we're going to go to hue and saturation. Now, when you open this layer, it also gives you a little layer mask, and so we're going to address the colors only that are gray and then leave the rest of the image alone, and that's why we have this layer mask. So if we go up to this area where it shows the properties of the hue saturation sliders, we can click on the little hand here with the arrows, and it gives us an eyedropper tool. And if we come over and hover over the areas that are out of gamut and click, it shows us back up in this area that it's the reds that are out of gamut. Now, you can also click in other areas just to make sure. Oops, I released it. So if I click here, it's still red. If I click down here, it's still red. So it's pretty safe to assume it's all of the reds. Now these reds in here are not out of gamut, so we don't want to change those. Those are fine, but we do want to change the ones that are in the white or gray. So the way that we do that is by starting to adjust these sliders. Now you can adjust the hue, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the hue. Where the problem is in the saturation. So we're going to pull that down, and as I pull it down, you can see the gray starting to dissipate. Keep going and keep going and keep going. Now once I get down to the point where most of those colors are now back in gamut, it looks a little dull here. So you can try with your lightness slider up here, try pulling that up, which makes it even lighter, almost desaturates it, or you can pull it down until you start to see the gray appear again. So I'm pulling down, pulling down, pulling down, and darkening it. So again, it makes it look kind of flat. So you probably don't want to go too far with that. So we'll come back up. Let's leave it at about 10 for now, and then adjust the saturation just a little bit. See if we can get back some of that saturation color. So if I start moving it, I'm at 22 now. You can start to see it appear here. Hopefully you can see that on your screen as well. So we don't really want to go up there. We want to keep that down where it was. So now we have the reds in gamut, And they will print like this. But what we can do is take these adjustments off the rest of the image. So right now we have this layer mask that's white, and it means that all of the adjustments are showing. If we change this to a black layer mask by hitting Command I on an apple, it changes it to black, and that means that none of the changes are showing on this image again. It's as if we were looking at the background. And I'm not sure yet in the point of the class if you viewed the video on the pumpkin, getting that stem and pumpkin both sharp. But if you have, then you understand the whole premise beside the whole premise of the layer mask. So what we're going to do is keep it black so we don't have any of the adjustments on this. We're going to come over to our paintbrush, click on that, and we want the top square to be white. That means whatever we paint will be revealed through this mask. We're going to go up, and I like to start opacity at about 50% because not all of the areas that are out of gamut need 100%. 50 will work fine. So you can change the size of your circle by the bracket keys left and right, and then just start going over those areas. And you can see as I paint, the gray areas are disappearing because those colors underneath are now back in gamut. Now when I go over this area here, some of them are not changing, and that's okay. We're going to correct that in just a minute. We want to just keep it at 50% now and go over what we can see on this pomegranate. And that has brought a lot of the color back in gamut. Now if I lift up my finger off my mouse and press again, I can continue to erase or to change those colors so that they are back in gamut. So now that looks pretty good, looking better. I still have quite a few areas that are not in gamut. So I'm going to lift my finger again and go over this one more time. Okay. And now we're going to address the color on the rose. Oh my goodness. So 50% is really doing quite well on the rose. Just a few areas that we're going to have to go back over, but that looks pretty good. There's a little bit on the stem here. Okay, I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller and just go over those areas that are still showing out of gamut. Just a few little specks left, which probably won't make a huge difference when you're printing. You just really want to make sure that, for instance, if you are entering into a juried show or something, you definitely want your colors in gamut. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now this image is ready to go back into Lightroom and do any other edits that we want to do, or continuing here in Photoshop. I want to show you what this looks like. Let's see, let's go to the background layer. And we are going to now take the gamut warning off. So now this is what we started with. And then using those adjustments, this is what we have. So it doesn't change it a great deal, but it changes it enough so that it's accurate for printing. And I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please ask.